The telemetry data from the scrapyard moon of Oakhaven defied every known principle of luminary biology. Subprefect Corey's, chief data analyst for the Imperial Guard, stared at the holographic reconstruction playing out on his terminal. His task was to determine exactly how Imperatrix Vailia's soul survived an ambush that wiped out her entire royal escort. The answer, floating stubbornly in the center of his display, was a human mechanic named Kalen Vance. According to the environmental logs, a cracked ceramic mug of lukewarm synthetic coffee sat on Kalen's primary console. The human was supposed to be hunting for abandoned tech in the debris field. Instead, his audio recorders captured the erratic, fading ping of a life sign buried beneath a shattered assault frame. Corey's watched the visual feed. The human found the Imperatrix bleeding out in the irradiated dirt. Her iridescent skin was dull. The crystalline veins that marked her royal lineage were completely devoid of light. If you want to uncover more classified incident reports from the Luminary archives, make sure to subscribe and join our network. Any rational scavenger would have stripped the precious metals from her armor and fled. Kalen Vance opened his toolbox. Luminary medical suites require perfectly sterile conditions and quantum-aligned energy flows to function. Kalen bypassed her ruptured conduits with bare, grease-stained hands. He connected a jury-rigged plasma core directly into her royal armor grid. Corey's felt his own crystalline veins pulse with secondary anxiety just watching the footage. The sheer, uncalibrated voltage should have incinerated her nervous system. Instead, the raw human tech shocked her failing organs back into a baseline rhythm. He did not leave her there in the dust. The ship's transit logs showed Kalen hauled her aboard and broke orbit. He headed straight for a decommissioned orbital refinery in the neighboring sector, a floating tomb of rusted iron and silent machinery. Corey's reviewed the initial docking sequence. The human did not file a salvage claim, which meant he intended to strip the armor and sell the raw materials on the black market. No, the internal audio proved otherwise. He had spent 6 exhausting hours fabricating a makeshift vascular shunt out of industrial polymers. He was trying to heal a sovereign he did not even recognize. A harsh metallic grind echoed through the refinery's recovered audio sensors. Vailia awoke. Her bioluminescent subdermal lattice flared in a jagged, rapid sequence. To a human, it was just shifting colors. To Corey's, reading the biometric feedback, it was the physiological equivalent of drawing a blade. She assessed the crude medical bay, the sparking plasma core, and the exhausted human slumped against the bulkhead. Kalen offered no reverence. He simply handed her a pouch of synthesized water. He explained that her armor's network module was being flooded with external pings, drowning out her internal systems. The Imperatrix realized the truth instantly. The assassins were tracking the quantum signature of her spilled blood. Silence. Then, the refinery's proximity alarm screamed. A massive shadow eclipsed the main observation port. An unknown hostile vessel, heavily armed and running dark, locked its targeting sensors onto their exact coordinates. Corey's watched the tactical telemetry unfold on his screen. The human didn't panic. Instead, he accessed the refinery's molecular printer. Kalen synthesized the quantum signature of the Imperatrix's blood, a process that should have required a team of Imperial chemists, and smeared the false markers across 6 rusted cargo haulers. He launched them into the void as decoys. Then, the human and the sovereign sealed themselves inside an unpowered inspection skiff. A loose hex wrench drifted past the camera lens in zero gravity. The skiff was ejected into the dark like common garbage. The audio logs captured the terrifying silence of deep space. The hunter ships did not chase the noisy haulers. They scanned for absence. They were looking for a void in the background radiation. Corey's leaned closer to the terminal, his crystalline veins glowing with cold dread. The hunters had them. The scanning beam swept toward the skiff. If they detect her, the Concorde will shatter into 1,000 burning pieces, and the human acted. He grabbed the very same jury-rigged plasma core that had shocked the Imperatrix back to life. He didn't power the engines. He wired the core directly into the skiff's thermal regulators, deliberately overclocking the unstable fusion cell to flood the thin metal hull with wild, chaotic heat, completely transforming their fragile vessel into a blinding infrared anomaly that perfectly mimicked a chunk of violently combusting space debris. The hunters passed them by. They survived. In that borrowed time, Vailia's bioluminescent lattice pulsed with sudden, blinding intensity. She reconnected to the Imperial network. Coordinates were broadcast. Space itself folded open. Massive Loyalist cruisers emerged from the dark, disabling the hunter vessels in a cascade of precise plasma fire. A royal dreadnought locked onto the tiny skiff, drawing them into its pristine docking bay where thousands of elite soldiers immediately dropped to their knees before the alien woman and her human mechanic. Corey's paused the final visual feed. The royal fleet was already turning toward the core worlds, leaving Oakhaven behind. In the center of the pristine dreadnought bay, resting on a velvet ceremonial pedestal, sat the scorched, jury-rigged plasma core. It was no longer a piece of scavenged scrap, but the fiery heart of a newly forged empire. Will the Luminary Empire ever look at a human scavenger the same way again? We'll be here tomorrow with another classified file from the archives, so come back and find out.